Live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Thomas, coming to you live from One Buffalo, New York, and I am joined by a special guest, take two, if you will, with bangedupbills.com, Kyle Trimble. Kyle, what's going on, my man?
Not much. I'm glad to be back. We're gonna try this again. Hopefully, it goes better this time.
Oh, it will. It'll be even better than it was the first time. Even better.
Absolutely.
Even better. So, Kyle, one thing I want to, get started on. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I've been following you for a long time. For those of you that haven't been following Kyle or haven't had the privilege of reading or viewing some of his content on Twitter, Kyle, let the people know about you, man. Let them know about bangedupbills.com.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm a licensed physical therapist. I have my doctor of physical therapy. I graduated from Duville back in 2013. I've had the different opportunity to practice in a number of different settings, including home health, outpatient, subacute rehab, and inpatient, and outpatient, if I didn't say that already. So I've had a variety of different settings which I've been able to learn and improve what I do, and seeing a lot of different conditions at different stages, and just getting a better understanding of how I can help people. I started Banged Up Bills when I began realizing that the media explanation of injuries was severely lacking. As, for example, we'd get report of an injury. Everybody be asking how long this guy's going to be out for, what the injury is, generally just everything about that. So I said, hey, I have this knowledge base. I'm going to try to interject myself into the conversation to at least provide an educational forum, if you will, so that people could at least learn. And so far, it's been very well received. I don't think I've really gotten any criticism. Most people are generally happy that somebody's out there saying this is what it is. This is why this happened. This is how long they're going to be out for. And, it kind of just gives people a peace of mind because we invest so much time and money into the bills that we want to at least know what's going on so we can kind of temper our expectations if an injury looks worse than it is or vice versa. So I've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and it's been going, I think, very well so far.
I would agree for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep going.
yeah, I'm good. That was pretty much my spiel.
That was pretty much your spiel. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a bunch of different podcasts, and I've been, writing, and recently I got an article get featured on Bleacher Report, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So
that's
it was
great.
Cover One. It was about Chase Winovich from Michigan, about his ankle injury.
Oh wow, yeah.
Got bigger. So I mean, it's like things like that are just kind of really, keep me motivated to keep going with everything that I'm doing. So I just figure I got to keep putting work in, and people want this injury information. So I'm going to do my best to go off of what I can and give it to the people.
It's amazing too because for as long as I've been into sports, ever since I was a little kid, but all the way dating back. Whether it was baseball, whether it was football, whether it was hockey, anytime there's injury news that comes out, you hear it, but you never really felt like you got the specifics. And one of the things that you do really well is you break down the specifics of not just the injury, but what's next. What's the next step for that specific player? Is that player going to go to some sort of rehabilitation center? Is it going to be surgery? Is it going to be, what type of therapy? I mean, nowadays, in comparison to, even 10, 15 years ago, an ACL tear is not necessarily the career-ending injury that it was once, viewed to be. There's so many other procedures and stuff that they can do now to repair that ligament, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, they've certainly perfected it. Going off specifically with ACL, when Thurman Thomas was talking about back in the summertime that he tore his ACL in college and never got fixed, I had done an article about that, just with the history of ACL reconstruction. And it really wasn't until the early mid-90s where they started getting a consistent pattern and a consistent method to treat that and let heal effectively. Before that, it was kind of like a wild, wild west approach, saying, this surgeon might think this is the best, this surgeon thinks this is the best. No standard protocol. So, it used to be more severe way back when, but now it's like, hey, you tear your ACL, you're missing for the year, but you come back and, there's a much higher likelihood that you come back and still play and do everything that you want to do.
Right, and just that fact alone, a player that was drafted late 80s, player that went on to have a Hall of Fame career with essentially one fully working knee. Maybe his knee was less than 50%, we'll say, just to give him, maybe it was even less than 20%. We'll never really know, but it obviously wasn't even close to 100. So, the fact that he was able to have a career like that, it makes you wonder if those players back then had the technology and the resources that the players have now, how much better could they have been? That's
absolutely.
It really makes you wonder. Yeah. As far as some of the recent, injury cases that you've, dived into here, whether it's draft picks, possibly in this year's draft, or even players, during the season this year in the National Football League, who are some players that really, caught your attention as far as injuries that they had, maybe injuries that you've studied and kept your eyes on throughout the last couple months or so?